G'day guys, Big Auden here, and today I'll be showing you the basics of the Unity 2019 game engine in this beginner's tutorial. This tutorial should cover all future releases of Unity beyond the current version of today, which is 2019.2, so unless something drastic changes, this tutorial will work for you. In this tutorial we'll be going through a couple of things to get you comfortable with using the Unity game engine. By the end of this tutorial you would have created something like this. Firstly, we'll cover installation of Unity and starting it up. Once we're in the engine, we'll cover the interface, creating a project and scene, creating the terrain, creating the player, importing a SKYBOX, importing Unity and custom assets and models, editing those custom models, and building/exporting the game. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to have to do, if you don't already have Unity installed, is to go get Unity. You want to come to this website, which will be in the link in the description, and you want to download this thing called the Unity Hub. What the Unity Hub basically is a central spot to keep all your projects. It also has some built-in Unity tutorials, as well as all your different installs for the different versions of Unity that you have. As you can see here, I currently have 2019.2.1F1 installed, the latest version as of today, the 17th of August 2019. Once you have Unity Hub installed and opened, you want to come to this install thing. You want to press Add, and just find the latest versions, the latest supported version of Unity. I prefer to use full releases, which is where the F is, rather than the alpha or beta versions, but your preference. And then you just click on it. You click Next. You can choose to add different modules if you want to make a game for Android or a Mac, and you want to add Windows build support as well if you're on a Windows, obviously. Documentation's helpful, and you click Done and it'll install it and you'll be good to go. Once that's installed, we can just create a new project, so we'll click New. It's going to open up this window. You can choose 2D, 3D. We're going to stick with 3D. I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it Tutorial, and choose where you want to save it. That's fine. So I'm going to click Create, and Unity will start up and get your project prepared. And here we are in the Unity game engine. I'll just call it Unity from now on, that's annoying to say. May look a bit confusing at first, but honestly, once you get the hand of it, it's pretty easy, pretty simple. So all these things that are different, windows and whatnot, you can move them around to adjust your workspace, or you could go to window layouts, and there's all these different layouts that you can use, or you could customize your own and then you save it, but I just like the default. I've never really messed around with it. Just click on game object up here, 3D object and cube. It will just put a cube in here just for demonstration purposes as I show you the interface and the different tools. So here you can see the hierarchy. This is everything that is in your scene. A scene is like a level in your game, and you can see we've got a main camera which shows us the camera preview of what our game would be like if we press play, the lighting, and then the cube that we spawned in. As you can see on the right, when you click on stuff, all these settings for that object come up here in the inspector tab. You can change different settings and change the scale. Cool, you're not going to change the scale, that's fine. No, you will. Come on. So you can change everything and whatnot, and you can, add different components. I can add a rigid body, so when I press play, it has physics and whatnot. That's for a different tutorial anyway. The project tab down here just has all your assets and stuff. Assets, if you don't know what they are, they're pretty much just a fancy word for game files. So it's got all your levels, your music, or just sound in general, your models, your textures, just everything related. At the moment we just have this sample scene that we got right now. In the console here you can, this is helpful when you're coding and whatnot and you try to press play and something's not working, and it'll come up with an error or something like that, and you can check it out. It also comes up with warnings and these little notifications, which is helpful from time to time. Of course, we've got the scene tab here, which is the I'm going to call it like the editor view of your game. You can move around and select stuff and move it and whatnot. The game tab here shows you the game view, of course, and you can see if I move this up, moves up there, and if I actually put this side by side, you can see that everything is real time. And of course the asset store tab is pretty much a store that Unity has set up where developers can make stuff, make assets, and then sell them to you, and if you're into that kind of thing. And it's a great place to get some stuff for your game, like some placeholders or whatnot. If you need something that you can't be bothered to make, you can just buy it, and it's you're all good to use in your game. It's a great place. Anyway, controls. Let's go through the controls. So when you're in the scene view, you can hold right click to do this little panning thing with the camera. You can hold left click to do a selecting thing, just like you would do in Windows. If you hold right click and use your WASD, you can physically like rotate move around in your scene, and you can also hold shift to go fast like you're sprinting. If you double click either on this, actually no, sorry, don't double click on that. If you double click on something in your hierarchy, you'll focus it in your scene, which is helpful if you're trying to find something. When you have this cube selected, you have this axes, so you have your X, Y, and Z. You can move it around. You can also, if you can see, there's like these different faces in the middle, so you can move it freely but in a certain axis. So this is only affecting Z and Y, I think, or is it X and Y, whichever one. When you have an object selected, you can use these tools. Currently I have is it called the move tool? Yeah, the move tool, so you can move it around. The rotate tool lets you rotate your objects. The scale tool lets you scale your objects. This is similar to the scale tool. It's just like a free-form scale tool. So there's no uniformity, I would say. It's kind of just like go with whatever you want. And this is just like everything in one. I've never actually used this before, but that's how it's going there. Anyway, that's pretty much it. You can pretty much delete this now. Alright, so now we're going to create a new scene. Even though this one's empty, I'll just still show you how you create a new scene. You can either right click here, click create, and then scene here. Or what I like to do, you go file, and then new scene here. And don't worry about changing this, it's all good. And there you go, we're in a new scene called Untitled. And make sure you just click file, save. Just to save this project, we'll just call it tutorial again and save like that. Or is that oh sorry, that wasn't the project, that was the scene that we saved. My bad, because it's already in the project. You click here to save the project. Alright, sorry about that. Anyway, we've got the scene now, pretty empty scene, so let's create some terrain. Let's create a land form. To do that, we're going to click you can click in the hierarchy or here. I prefer to do it here just so it goes in the game. We'll do 3D object and terrain. And there you go, we got a pretty large piece of terrain here. You can see it. There you go. It's pretty big, but that's alright. When you have the terrain selected, over here in the inspector tab, you have these different tools. If you're creating like massive terrain game, you can like add neighboring terrains, but we won't do that. We'll just focus on this paintbrush tool for now. This paintbrush tool has a bunch of other options. Currently this is the raise or lower terrain option, so if we hold left click, you can see, that was pretty quick, you can see it's raising the terrain quite quickly. I'm going to delete that all. And you can change the brush and whatnot. If you want to make it a hexagon, you can do that. The paint texture lets you paint certain terrain. Set height lets you set a certain height and it will set all that terrain to that height. The smooth height just lets you smooth out terrain that you've made, and that's about it for now. So let's create just some basic mountains. It doesn't need to look fancy. We'll bump the brush size up a bit. That's too big. Hold up. That's fine. Alright, let's zoom out a bit. And let's just hold left click, sorry, that's the control you use, and create a hill. Just act as a simple border for now, so our player can't exit our terrain and, you know, enter the void. So you can spend as long as you know, time as you want on this. I'm not going to worry too much about how it looks, but just because this is a tutorial, it's not a proper game, but you do what you want to do. And we're gonna just leave it like this for now. That's fine. We'll just worry about this corner. And you can see it's got a default just checkerboard texture now, but we will change that eventually. Now if we go to the smooth, is it the smooth height? You can see that it smooths out to the terrain, so it's not that jagged and whatnot. You don't want to overdo it because then it looks unnatural, but like, see all this over here, you can kind of just like smooth it out and yeah, make it not look as jagged as it used to be. But yeah, use it sparingly. So now we're going to create the player. Now creating the player, if you want to do it from scratch, I don't know how to do it. I haven't done it. Alright. I've just been, Unity has provided standard assets for people to use in their projects, which is very helpful indeed. That's my timer. Hold up, I'll be back. So to import your Unity assets, you want to come up to here, the assets, import package, and there should be I'll show a picture. There should be different options that you can choose. There should be stuff like environment, standard assets and whatnot. For some reason that's not here for me. I don't know why. I'm trying to get it fixed. But for now, we're just going to head on over to the asset store in the tab, or you could do it in your browser. That also works. I'm going to type in standard assets. And you can see here Unity Technologies. Click on it. Click import or download, whichever button comes up. It'll download the package, they'll decompress it, and then I'll let you import it. When importing it, this little window comes up. You can select what stuff you want to keep out, or you know, choose what you want to bring in. I'm just going to leave it all. You click import, and it will come into everything will be imported into your Unity project. And there you can see here the standard assets folder has come up. If you click on it, you have all this different stuff. You have vehicles, prototyping, environment, characters, cameras, all that kind of good stuff. But what we want is a character. We want a player. So we're going to go into our standard assets folder. We can click characters, and we're going to go first person controller, or character, sorry, prefabs, which means they've already set up a custom like thing we can just drop into our scene. And you can either drop it into the hierarchy, which will just spawn it at coordinate 0, 0, 0, or if you like, you can just drop it wherever you want into your scene. So I'm just going to find a nice spot. I'll just do it here, and we're just going to drag it in there. And as you can see, at the moment, he's kind of in the ground at the moment. So we're just going to use our move tool to just move him up so he's above the ground. And now, if we click the play button here, you can see that I'm currently moving around. I can hold shift to sprint, I can jump around, and this is what we have so far. Pretty cool. Pretty happy with it. And it does come with sound, but it's very quiet. Anyway, that's all good. One thing you should know that some people have pointed out to me and to other people, when you want to stop your game to edit stuff, make sure you press this play button again. If you press the pause button, the game is still running. So if I press the pause button, go to my scene, and then like, say this is like some model that I've spent hours working on, and then I unpause the game, and I'm like, oh hey, look, it's in my game, and then I stop the game, all that work's gone, because when you're pausing the game is still running. So any changes you do in game aren't saved. So you want to make sure you stop running the game before you make any changes. As you can see here, it says there are 2 audio listeners in this scene. That's because we still have our main camera enabled. So you just want to disable that, just because we have the camera on our first person character. And you can click clear on that, and it's all good. We're all fixed. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to work in our terrain again. We're going to fix it up a little bit, just make it look a bit nicer by adding a texture. So what you want to do, click on terrain here, click on your brush, go to paint texture, click edit terrain layers, create layer, and over here this window will come up. You can choose any custom textures that you import, but at the moment I'm just going to find there's a sand texture here that the standard assets brought in. You could also use the environment package. If you import that as well, it will bring in some grass textures you could use, but since it's not working for me, I can't do that. So I'm going to just use the sand texture. And that should have... Normally that would change the entire terrain. That's what it did for me, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. So you're just going to have to paint it on, just like that. Yeah. So if you want, you could just zoom out, make your brush size extremely big, so you're painting this entire area really quickly. That works. Yeah, that works. See, modern problems require modern solutions. And now that's all in. And now if we go back to that textures thing, if you see here, that's just a regular texture, but you can add your normal and mask map to make it look better. I don't have that. That's fine. Let's click play. And you can see it's all sandy. Nice and sandy. And now the sound's working because that audio listener problem is gone. See? Alright. We're happy with this now. Next, we're going to check out the SKYBOX. The SKYBOX is what we call the sky, essentially. Currently, it's just a regular blue, pretty bland. So we're going to fix this. You can make your own, or you can have help from the asset store, because it's not just premium assets that are on here. There are free assets. So we're going to type in classic SKYBOXes. Is it just classic SKYBOX? There we go, classic SKYBOX. You click on that. It's a free asset, and you have all these beautiful SKYBOXes you can use. So we're going to click download. It's going to download, and click import. And we want all of them because they're beautiful. We'll click import, and now it's going to import into our project. And I don't have like any sponsorship or anything from the people that have made this. I just purely use these things because they're free and they're amazing. So we've got that in our thing now. Folder right here, classic SKYBOXes, and you've got all these different skies. So to change the actual sky, we're going to go to window up here. We're going to go to rendering, lighting settings, and here you can see the SKYBOX material setting. You can either, you can like drag stuff in from your assets, your project folder window, down here into this. But if you feel like you're dragging in the wrong thing, just click this little circle. It'll open up a window, and then you'll be able to look for your actual skies. So here's the skies that we're imported. Let me make this a bit bigger. Where'd it go? These are our skies. What sky should we choose? You know what, let's just go something. We'll just go with 6. There we go. The sky's changed. Look at that. That looks beautiful. Very nice. And let's click play. Look at that. Does that not look very nice? Of course, it's just a static image, so the clouds won't move, but you could add some other clouds in to, make it look better. But I'm happy with this. This is very nice. This is very nice. So we already know how to import Unity assets, but what if you want to import your own assets? So say if you want to download this watchtower of free 3D, and you want to put it into your game. Well, you're going to want to click download first of all. Make sure you get an FPX or OBJ because those are the files that Unity supports. It doesn't support anything else. So make sure you get OBJ or FBX. Once you know where you have your, what's it called? Once you know where your assets are, make sure you know where it is. You can either drag it into your project window, or you can go to Assets, Import New Asset, and then you just go to where it is. OBJ, and is that going to work? We'll click the OBJ file first for the 3D model. There's the 3D model there. And then we'll also go again, import new asset. We'll import the textures. Can I do multiple? I can, cool. And there we go. We've got the model, we've got the regular texture and the normal map. So there's our player there. Let's put the tower just here. That works. Let's make sure it's in the ground so it's not floating. That's actually, I might actually move it behind the player so it looks good in the lighting. Make sure you select your object, and then you want to get your texture here and just drag it onto the object. Or you could drag it onto here as well, or you could just do it into the scene or the hierarchy. Just do it in the scene, and you can see that the texture, it's a bit hard to see in this lighting, but you can see that the texture has been added to the object. And if you click on the material thing down here, you can see it's there. And we can also add the normal map there. And you can see it just adds a bit more detail. The wood actually kind of, you know, has those wood-like features, you know. Looks better with the normal map on it. You don't need it, but it's just there, so may as well use it. So now if we click play, we're going to discover two issues. First of all, it's really small. Scaling is an amazing thing. You can fix this by two ways. If you're making your own models, you kind of want to make sure you're making it the correct size. So it's, if you just put in Unity thing, you don't need to mess around with it. It's just all good. But if you're downloading it off the internet and stuff, or you've made it and you haven't scaled it properly, it's going to look small. Or maybe it's going to be too big. At the moment, it's currently very small. So the way we can fix this, if you remember, we have a scale tool. So you can either use this and just hold this white block and scale it out until you think it's big enough, or you could input some proper measurement like X, Y, and Z. What are they called? Numbers, values into here. I did this before. I think 2.3 is pretty good for the scaling. It's be the correct size. So let's just move it down here. It's in the ground now. And now that should be the correct size. Let's check it out. Click play. And that looks a lot bigger, but it actually feels like, you know, the right size. But you're going to see now, if we try climb up the staircase, where's going to fall through it? Now, it's the other thing with 3D models, you want to make sure they have some kind of collision model. Otherwise, you're going to have to add your own, which is fine, but it's just another thing you need to do. But that's fine. It's just a tutorial here, so nothing to worry about here. Alright, so we got that. We've got our terrain, we've got our custom object with our custom texture, we've got our player. Now, we're pretty much done for this tutorial. The last thing I'll show you is how you can actually export this to be like an exe file that you can give to, you know, put on other computers or give to your friends to play. So what you want to do, you make sure you save your scene and click Save Project. Once you have everything saved and you're all ready to go, you want to click File, Build Settings. Now this is where you're going to do your final steps to make sure everything's good. You want to make sure you have all the scenes in your game that you want to have in your game, you want to have that in your scenes in build thing. You can do this by either dragging scenes in, or you can click Add Open Scene. So since I had the tutorial scene open, it added this to the thing. You can also see that when you have multiple scenes in here, whatever is on top will be the first scene that's loaded. So you preferably want to have the menu scene as your first scene if you have a menu in your game. So it's not loading to some random level, it's actually loading to the menu when you open up the game. Here you can choose your platform that you're developing your game for. Of course, we're just going to leave it as Windows. Leave it as 86. You can choose development build or not, it just adds like a watermark kind of thing. And you can also get some other options here. So you're going to leave that off. Compression method, doesn't really matter, just leave it as default. And click build. Now you just want to make a folder for your game. We'll call it tutorial game. Select that. And now, if Unity doesn't freeze, there we go. It's going to build a game for us. It's just, depending on how big a game here is, it's going to take a certain amount of time. But our game's relatively small, so shouldn't take too long. We'll see. Let's see how this goes. So what it's basically doing, it's just compiling everything and just putting it so you can open an exe and then everything will run separate to the Unity editor, the Unity engine. It's its own application. And there you go, it's all done. So here we can see we have tutorial.exe. It's actually named after what this scene is called, so that's fine. So we're going to click, you can click on it, open it up. You'll have this made with Unity watermark thing. And there you go, we have the game. It's an actual game. You can see we're moving around. We've got our character. We've got the sky that we imported. We've got the terrain with the sand texture. We've got the custom watchtower 3D model that we imported that's scaled and has the proper texture. Doesn't have any collision though because I didn't add any, but that's fine. But it worked. See, it's all calm and it's all good, and we can move around, jump around, and climb up this hill if we want. There we go. It's going good. It's all good. So that's pretty much it for the tutorial, guys. Hope this helped you out. If it did, please do leave a like. If you have any problems or you want to just leave some feedback on the video or like suggestions for new videos, please do leave a comment. I'm going to try, I said about 2 years ago that I'd get back into Unity. I'm getting back into it. As you saw, I made a game for a class that I'm in at school. I'll definitely be posting more videos like these if you guys like it. So, other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Hope this helped you out, and I will see you next time.